Evening. It's July 10th. This is the regular monthly meeting for the Blight Review Board. We do have a quorum, so I'm calling the meeting to order at 5:31, it looks like. First agenda item is to approve the minutes. They were all posted and forwarded to you. Any comments? Can I have a motion to approve? Holly?
I wrote the minutes.
I second.
All in favor?
Okay, so minutes approved unanimously. Let's do quickly introduce Bob Solito. Bob is replacing Nick Johnson as our new Blight officer. Bob will be in the same status that Nick was. He's a member of the Fire Marshal's office, and we welcome you aboard. And Nick, we thank you for your service. We know it hasn't always been easy. So let's start with, actually, if we can, let's go out of order. Update by the Blight officer. Just go straight to your update.
Sure. I'll start with property 17-002. The update on that is that the structure is down. Everything is leveled, so it's now just a vacant lot.
Yep. And I talked to Bob Gray, who, as you know, has been here for multiple meetings because his property abuts that property, and he was very thankful and wanted to make sure I passed on to the committee that it was very helpful, and he realized it was a difficult process to go through, but he appreciated it. And I said, well, we appreciated you taking the time to come and give us your feedback. So good. We're going to that one's closed. Yeah.
And then the second property, which is still in front of the board, is 18-004, and I have seen no progress there at that property. But I know the chairman has worked on that with the attorney's office.
Yeah. So let me just update everybody on the board. On June 26th, the property owner was served by the town marshal to ensure that he got the letter, and the letter basically is one that all of you have seen. It gives until July 26th to either have full remediation or sufficient progress as identified by the Blight officer that progress is being made. Otherwise, the fines that have been identified will begin to accrue. That's was in his hands. He also returned the registered mail. So that's the status. We'll just be observing up until July 26th. I'll have to work with lawyers if we have no progress, because I don't think we want to wait until the next meeting.
I think there is an August meeting, right?
There's probably not.
Last year there wasn't.
I don't think so.
August is the off month.
Okay.
Yeah, I think if it's not, it's going to be, because we've got multiple people I already know that aren't going to be here. So, but the point being is that the lawyers will then go the next step. And just so you know, and again, like I said, I forwarded everybody this letter, but it says the town does not want to pursue such actions and would instead prefer to work with you to eliminate the blight conditions specified above. Period. So, I mean, we've process-wise, we've gone as far as we can, and there's no immediate action to be taken other than I would like if we could get Bob, if you could put that on your priority list, properties, and you might want to contact the homeowner just to introduce yourself and see what kind of response we get from him.
Do we know how it went for him at P&Z?
He he did not show up for his meeting.
Oh, he didn't?
He did not. He was slotted and scheduled to show up. His application was incomplete. It did not have site plans, didn't have sufficient information in it. So it probably would not have been approved anyway, but he did not show up for the planning and zoning meeting, and that was either last week or the week before last.
So what happens in that case? They just put it to the side? They just cancel it? Okay.
Planning and zoning's only interest here is that if he wants to repair the fire damage, he has to go through the planning and zoning process. That's their only interest. They're not involved, as we're not involved in their interest on this, they're not involved about the blight issue. So,
how often is the frequency of the accrual of the fines?
Daily.
Is it daily? So after the 26th, should I be making a daily visit so I can record if maybe a week goes by, he doesn't do anything, and then he'll make sufficient progress and
whatever you have sufficient time to do.
Okay.
And I think, again, you're new, so introducing yourself I think is important so that he now knows who the blight officer is. And I'll make sure, as a matter of fact, why don't I give you a copy of this notification?
Sure.
And so that you have in hand.
Is it in the file? If it's in the file, then
This may or may not be.
okay.
That may not.
Okay.
You want me to go make a copy?
I think that was done.
Or you got more?
I've
Then
got
one. That'll add.
All right.
Got multiple copies.
Okay.
Yeah, pass that on to Bob.
Thank you.
And then you might pass that on also. That's the formal statement from the marshal that he served. Oh, yeah. So at this point in time, we're at the point where the fines are going to start accruing unless the blight officer is in agreement that sufficient progress is being made. And if it's not, then it's going to be out of our hands. It's basically going to be a fine process. And I made sure that Kate Bush in administration had a copy of this also, because we're not the ones that will, the town's the one that has to ultimately administer the fine. And obviously we don't want to do that. But I don't, we're constrained by our own rules now, which is good.
I have a question, and that is, have we settled on the amount of the fine? It can be no more than 100 unless it's a willful violation.
It's $100 a day.
It is 100.
Yeah. Now, if the state determines, let's say this goes on for another 6 months, and the state determines that it is willful, then the state can increase that to $250. So you can be fined by the state of Connecticut, you can be fined by the town. And obviously, neither entity is interested in generating revenue that way.
Yeah.
But if that's what it ultimately takes, I guess that's the process you would ultimately have to follow through. Let's just hope we don't get there.
How does the state get involved? Is it like the town notified?
I'm
Do we
sure
know?
it's the town. Yeah, I'm sure it's the town. Because it has to be
After a certain period of
determined that
time.
it's willful, not just neglect or incapability. So, and again, I'm not a lawyer, but it's very specific what they would have to do and go through. The only other property that I would like to discuss tonight is, let me find our number here, 16-001. I think everyone is familiar with this. This is the one we were just talking about. At this point in time, we have been dealing with a mortgage company instead of being able to contact the individuals.
Individuals never responded to any letters that were sent to them, so we had to.
Excuse me, Jimmy, I'll look at Jimmy.
Yeah, and we got new information, about a month ago.
6 to 8 weeks ago.
One of the neighbors, again, who has filed was part of the original complaint, the issue they said, we just don't understand why nothing's happening. And Nick explained to them what the criteria for blight was, and that we're limited to being able to go to the sidewalk looking in. We can't go to the back of the house. We can't literally go on the property. Well, this person said, oh, well, I've got all kinds of pictures from my property of the backyard, which is where the big complaints are coming from. So Nick's got those, I guess, in your file.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're going to have to, again, sit down with the lawyers. And I think we're at the point now where we just have to start the process as if it was a new one. We've sent
Resubmit letters to the homeowners, see if there's
Right.
a response.
Yeah.
Bob and I discussed this the other day.
Okay. Yeah, because the problem is there's been, like they painted the front of the house and it did nothing to help. But obviously somebody was concerned enough to respond to Nick's conversations to at least try to adjust the problem, and they, it just hasn't helped. And it's from the front, it just appears to be highly overgrown, and which again is a criteria, but it's not sufficient in and of itself for it to be considered a blighted property. But it's the side and rear of the property that
When you see the pictures of the rear of the property, that becomes your issue.
yeah.
So
Is
they're
there
living
somebody
there?
living there?
No,
Yeah.
that's what I was wondering.
No,
Nobody's
Oh,
living.
it's boarded up.
I thought it looked
Uh,
boarded up.
I'm not even sure if it's boarded up, but nobody's.
It looked like they painted the windows. I mean, it looked like whoever painted it.
Whoever
just kind
painted,
of-
I think
So
they
when
just
does the
went in
painter
with a
know what's
spray.
okay, so that's paint. I thought they had actually boarded it up.
It looks like paint. I didn't get close enough just
Yeah.
driving by.
Did I recall earlier we had a property basically that met the criteria for not being safe because kids could wander in and everything. Does this property come to that maybe?
I think
It's
the
a
problem
public-
with the windows on the backside are second floor.
Yeah.
Without walking to the backside of the house, I couldn't tell you if the door was kicked in or not.
But wouldn't the photographs give us additional evidence?
Photographs were
Broad.
broad, yeah.
Well, I would like us to restart the process because we've gone through multiple iterations, and I think at this point in time we're going to have to. It still comes back to both the homeowner and the mortgage company, right? It's both people in this
Is it
case.
foreclosure by any chance? If they're not living there and it's the mortgage? No.
I don't think it is. I'll look it up again. I don't think it is.
They're obviously paying taxes.
Yes. Last
Well,
time I
mortgage
checked, all the
company.
taxes were paid. Mortgage was all set, so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, I will.
It was, supposedly it was an elderly couple. The gentleman became very sick. They moved out to, I guess, live with family about 2 hours away. The last I heard from the mortgage company, which was 8 months ago or so, 10 months ago, whatever it was, saying that their intentions were that they were going to move back into the house.
But they never have.
Never have.
So we need to restart the dialogue with the mortgage company. And I would think we ought to try to contact the family where they're living, if we can.
Yeah, we don't have contact information for that.
Okay. All right. We just know
Which is why we went through
the mortgage.
the mortgage company.
All right.
Do you want me to try to reach out to the family?
Yeah.
I don't know them, but I'm just saying, like, do a little
Yeah.
digging and see.
I think that would be good. Because it would be helpful if
Get a
the
number.
family, my guess is the family has no idea that a lot of this is going on.
That's a very good possibility.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I will. I'll reset with Wayne Fox, and we'll start the process again. Okay. Nick, any other items that you want to bring us up to date, or are you pretty, we're still
That's all I
status quo?
have for this evening.
Okay. Any other old business to be handled? Any new business?
I'd like to ask Bob Soto, if I could, how much time are you expecting to be able to allocate to this job?
Currently, because I'm new in the office, Bobby Bush said, just get used to the files, do what you have to do.
Okay.
So right now, that's all I'm doing. They hired me for 19 hours a week. So, and then half of those is dedicated from here on out. At least half of those are dedicated to Blight. So, 9.5 hours a week.
All right.
Is that what you had?
I'm glad to hear it.
No, I had 3.
Okay. Okay.
But
so
I
they
was
have
working a
increased
lot
it.
more
Yeah,
hours
right.
than
They have
that, which
increased
was
it.
coming out
Okay.
of.
Yeah.
Good.
But like I said, to get going, Bobby said, just work on that.
Right. Good.
We'll work into
Okay.
the other stuff eventually.
Well, and one of the things I think we would like you to do is become really familiar with this list.
Yes.
And then we need, and maybe, I think September would probably be appropriate to give you time, but I would like a vetting of the whole list. And we go back to what the criteria is here, the color codes, and let's just go through property by property.
You don't have to do them all in 1 week, you know.
No, but by September, I get it, but this should almost be done.
And as
Right, you know, really.
far as new business, Mark did a wonderful job of doing, pulling out and kind of laying out what the process really should look like based on all of the documents. And I sent that to everybody in an email.
That was good.
And again, I would like to lay out time at a meeting that we spend like an hour on that. I think it would be helpful for Bob, and I think because we're obviously going to have some new members come on, and I think we can codify now better than we were able to before.
And the process, yeah.
And the process, yeah.
We're not discussing it tonight.
Okay.
Did I write draft on it? It's definitely draft.
Okay, any other
Yeah, it's not
business?
even dated, but
Okay,
Just if you can include me in your emails.
I will. Is yours?
It's R Solito, RSOLLITTO
At
Darien.
CD. Okay. Holly, that's a question I have for you. Again, what is your preferred email?
I use the Darien.
Okay.
Yeah, the Darien, yeah, I think my company wants me to use the Darien.
Yeah, and I think Darien wants you to use it.
Yes.
Okay. So if there's no other business for the committee, can I have a move to adjourn?
so moved.
Second?
Second. But you can send it to any email. I
No,
get it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's just I'm trying
Thank
to.
you, Nick. Sorry.
Thank you, Nick.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. We're adjourned.